I am going to tell you about KPFT's darkest moment, at least its darkest moment up until right now in this pledge drive. It is the moment when, notwithstanding Ku Klux Klan bombs and harassment and being on the rat sheet and death threats and harassing phone calls and police harassment and government surveillance, that KPFT came closest to going off the air forever. It was not the night before Christmas, but the night before KPFT was to return to the air after having been off for, I think, somewhere around 6 months following the second bombing by the Ku Klux Klan. And it was a moment where, I guess I'm proud to say, we had managed to provoke in the city of Houston and nationally a sense of outrage and a sense of promise about the future and a sense of change. And because of that, we had an impressive return to air planned. We had the precursor of public broadcasting, of PBS, had put together something like 40 television stations across the country, an unheard of network at the time, that were going to broadcast the return to air live as a special event starring Arlo Guthrie. Arlo Guthrie and his entire entourage were flying in. Hundreds of PBS technicians were flying in. Reporters from all around the country flying in. And we were getting ready. Now, the bombing had not been of the downtown studio. It had been of our transmitter out at the edge of town. And one of the main reasons that we were off the air for as long as we had been was the cost of building a new bunker for the transmitter. This was the second time. So we were on track to build a bunker that could withstand one of those bunker-busting bombs that they built to take out the Iranian nuclear facilities. We were going to build something that would be impervious to a third bombing. And we raised the money from that all over the country and from lots and lots of people like you in Houston who chipped in because they were outraged at what had happened. And it was going very well, and we were assured repeatedly that the bunker would withstand any kind of explosive attack that could possibly be conceived. We felt a great deal of comfort and went forward with all the plans to invite these people. There was a little snafu, though. Nobody had thought to order the door. We had the most impervious bunker in America into which anybody could have walked. So with all these people coming to Houston for the opening, we thought it prudent at the time to make sure that nothing happened the night before we went on the air. So we set up a watch where all of us good, enterprising reporters and journalists and DJs were going to take turns out there at the far edge of Houston, which who knows where that is now. That's probably a major housing development at this time. It was a cow field then. We were going to stand guard over the transmitter to make sure nothing happened. And so we all signed up for our shifts, and I think I was the youngest one, I drew the worst shift. I think I had 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, and drove out there. And I'm trying to remember who was on duty before me, but whoever it was anxious to leave. He had been there, his Saturday night had been interrupted. He had late plans, and he was on his way. And he had sat out there for 6 hours on a Saturday night listening to the cows moo, and he was ready to go. And as he's walking out, he slaps into my hand a .45 revolver. I knew we were going to stand guard, but nobody had told me we were going to stand armed guard. Now remember, at this time I'm 18 years old from New York City, and I knew what a gun was. I had never seen one. I knew what a gun was. I grew up playing with them. They were still politically appropriate at the time. But I don't think I'd ever touched a gun or been in a room with a gun. Now, I know there are lots of Texans out there in utter disbelief, but this is a true statement. And it was at that moment when a loaded .45 was placed in my hand with, I believe it was Jeff Nightbird, who was our late night disc jockey, the most popular guy on the station, the biggest audio audience, and the biggest draw on fundraising, that station was in its greatest peril. That is the darkest moment, the greatest danger that KPFT had ever faced, that Mitch Green had a loaded gun in his hand. Mitch Green, recognizing this immediately, took the gun, asked about a safety. See, I was a smart kid. Nightbird knew nothing about it. He was gone. I took that gun. I walked outside of the bunker, kicked over a dry cow chip, and I put it under the cow chip and returned the station to safety. But this station is once again facing another dark and dangerous moment, as it does every time it comes up for a pledge drive, because its future is in danger, as it is all the time. There is no place else for the money to come from than from you. That's what this station depends on. It has survived many challenges, none as great as that moment in the bunker, but over 45 years, it has survived an incredible number of changes. It is like one of those creatures that defy scientists by regenerating parts of their body that have been cut off. This station has a will to live. Many are called to help it fulfill that will. You are the people who have the opportunity to choose yourselves to make it happen. Please do. There's a 45-year history on the line.